Imagine waking up in a world where every digital transaction you make, whether it's sending money to a friend, buying a coffee, or investing in a new technology, is tracked, logged, and tied directly to your identity. Not by choice, but by law. The very tools that promised financial freedom and privacy now come with strings attached. For many, this sounds like a dystopian vision. But starting in July 2027, this is not just fiction, it's set to become reality across the European Union. The spark behind this dramatic shift is the EU's new Anti-Money Laundering Regulation, or AMLR, and its implications stretch far beyond the realm of cryptocurrencies. The European Union is gearing up for one of the biggest regulatory overhauls in crypto history. The AMLR is not just another piece of legislation. It's a comprehensive framework designed to stamp out money laundering, terrorist financing, and illicit financial activities in the digital economy. The main targets? Anonymous crypto accounts and privacy-focused cryptocurrencies like Monero, XMR, and Zcash, ZEC. For years, these privacy coins have been the backbone of digital anonymity, offering users the ability to transact without revealing their identities or financial histories. Now, that era is coming to an end, at least within the borders of the EU. But why is the EU taking such drastic action? The reasoning boils down to a fundamental clash of values. On one side, regulators and governments argue that financial transparency is essential for combating crime and maintaining the integrity of the financial system. As Anja Blaj, a leading policy expert at the European Crypto Initiative, succinctly put it, governments want to know who is trading with whom. On the other side, the crypto community sees privacy as a basic human right, an essential feature of digital autonomy and financial freedom. The new AMLR makes its stance clear. Once the regulation comes into force, banks, financial institutions, and crypto asset service providers, CASPs, will be explicitly prohibited from offering anonymous accounts. More strikingly, they will not be allowed to support privacy coins such as Monero and Zcash. That means exchanges operating within the EU will need to delist these assets, and wallet providers will be required to implement strict identity verification procedures for every transaction exceeding $1,000. The days of anonymous wallets and untraceable transactions are numbered. This isn't the EU's first foray into crypto regulation. The markets in crypto assets, MiCA framework, introduced earlier, already imposed stringent requirements on exchanges, stablecoin issuers, and digital asset providers. But the new AMLR goes a step further, zeroing in on anonymity itself. The EU's argument is simple. Privacy coins and anonymous wallets are too often exploited by criminals to launder money, finance terrorism, and perpetrate scams. By banning these tools, regulators hope to close loopholes and bolster the fight against illicit financial activity. For everyday users, the impact will be profound. If you're holding privacy coins or relying on anonymous wallets in Europe, you'll face major restrictions. Exchanges may begin to delist privacy-focused assets ahead of the 2027 deadline, and wallet providers will likely start asking for full identity verification long before the law takes effect. For some, this means a scramble to convert privacy coins into more mainstream assets, or to move funds outside the EU's jurisdiction. For others, it means rethinking how and where they participate in the digital economy. But is this the end of privacy in crypto? Not necessarily. Experts like Anja Blaj argue that the policy-making process is dynamic and ongoing. Even though the AMLR is finalized, there is still room for negotiation and adaptation in how the rules are enforced. The European Anti-Money Laundering Authority, AMLA, which will supervise CASPs operating in at least 6 EU member states, retains significant discretion over implementation. How these regulations are interpreted and applied on the ground could vary, and stakeholders within the crypto industry are already lobbying for more balanced approaches. Still, the underlying conflict remains: privacy versus state control. This is not just a debate about technology, it's a debate about principles. Should governments have the right to know every detail of our financial lives? Or should individuals retain the ability to transact anonymously? The answer to this question will shape the future of crypto, not just in Europe, but around the world. And the push for surveillance doesn't end with money. The EU is also considering a sweeping initiative known as chat control. If passed, this proposal would require platforms like WhatsApp and Telegram to scan user messages, including encrypted ones, for illegal activity. This would mark a dramatic expansion of digital surveillance, reaching into private communications that were previously considered sacrosanct. As of now, 15 EU countries support the chat control proposal, but it lacks the majority population approval needed to become law. Germany's stance could prove decisive, tipping the balance one way or the other. Taken together, the AMLR and chat control represent a broader shift in the EU's approach to digital privacy. Regulators are moving aggressively to expand oversight, not just in financial transactions, but in personal communications as well. For privacy advocates, this is a worrying trend, one that risks undermining the very foundations of digital freedom. The tension at the heart of these new regulations is clear. How much privacy are citizens willing to sacrifice in the name of security? For crypto users, the AMLR marks the beginning of a new era, one where privacy coins, anonymous wallets, and the promise of financial autonomy face unprecedented pressure. The debate is no longer theoretical. It will play out in the choices that individuals, companies, and regulators make over the coming years. As the July 2027 deadline approaches, the crypto community faces a critical crossroads. Some will choose to adapt, complying with the new regulations and embracing more transparent forms of digital finance. Others will resist, seeking out new technologies and platforms that preserve anonymity despite legal constraints. And a third group may seek to innovate, developing decentralized systems and privacy-preserving tools that operate outside the reach of traditional regulation. This is not the first time the crypto world has faced existential threats. From the early days of Bitcoin, when regulators struggled to understand the technology, to the rise of decentralized finance and non-fungible tokens, innovation has always thrived in the face of adversity. But the stakes today are higher than ever. The AMLR is not just a technical challenge. It's a challenge to the core principles of privacy, autonomy, and digital citizenship. To understand what's at risk, consider the role that privacy coins like Monero have played in the crypto ecosystem. Unlike Bitcoin, which offers pseudonymity but not true anonymity, Monero uses advanced cryptographic techniques to conceal the sender, receiver, and amount of every transaction. This makes it virtually impossible to track funds on the Monero blockchain, providing a level of privacy unmatched by most other cryptocurrencies. For activists, journalists, and ordinary citizens living under repressive regimes, this kind of privacy can be a lifeline. But it's precisely this power that regulators fear. The EU's argument is that privacy coins make it easy for criminals to hide their tracks, facilitating everything from money laundering to financing terrorism. By banning these tools, the AMLR seeks to close loopholes and ensure that every transaction can be traced and audited. Supporters of the regulation argue that this is a necessary step to protect the integrity of the financial system and safeguard society from harm. Critics, however, see things differently. They argue that the ban on privacy coins and anonymous wallets is a massive overreach, one that risks stifling innovation and infringing on fundamental rights. For them, financial privacy is not just about avoiding government oversight. It's about protecting individuals from surveillance, discrimination, and abuse. In a world where every transaction is tracked, the potential for misuse is enormous. From political repression to corporate data mining, the loss of financial anonymity could have far-reaching consequences. The debate is not just theoretical. We're already seeing the impact in the markets. Monero, one of the largest privacy coins, currently trades at around $305, having recently dropped by $17. The uncertainty surrounding the EU's crackdown is weighing on investors, and exchanges are beginning to reconsider their support for privacy-focused assets. As the regulatory deadline approaches, these trends are likely to accelerate, reshaping the landscape of digital finance in Europe and beyond. For those who value privacy, the next few years will be a time of adaptation and experimentation. New technologies may emerge to restore anonymity, even in a regulated environment. Decentralized exchanges, peer-to-peer trading platforms, and privacy-preserving protocols could offer alternative paths for those unwilling to give up their financial autonomy. At the same time, the industry will need to engage with policymakers, advocating for balanced approaches that protect both security and individual rights. The outcome is far from certain. The EU's AMLR is just one piece of a global puzzle, and other regions may choose different paths. In the United States, for example, crypto regulation remains fragmented, with privacy coins still accessible on many platforms. In Asia, governments are experimenting with their own digital currencies, some with built-in privacy features. The battle over financial anonymity will play out differently in each jurisdiction, shaped by local values and political realities. But the broader trend is clear. The era of unregulated, anonymous digital finance is coming to an end. The AMLR represents a decisive shift toward transparency and oversight, and its impact will be felt across the crypto ecosystem. For some, this is a welcome development, a necessary step to protect society from harm. For others, it's a worrying sign of growing surveillance and control. The choices we make today will shape the future of crypto for generations to come. Will we embrace transparency, sacrificing privacy for the sake of security? Or will we fight to preserve anonymity, even in the face of regulatory pressure? The answer will depend not just on technology, but on the values we hold dear. As we approach this turning point, it's more important than ever to stay informed, engaged, and active in the debate. The future of digital privacy is at stake, and every voice matters. What do you think? Should privacy coins like Monero be banned, or should financial privacy be a protected right in the digital age? The conversation is just beginning. Share your thoughts and let your voice be heard.